right, welcome. So, for the audience, first off, thank you so much for coming. For the audience, I want you to introduce yourselves to everyone. What's your name? Where you're from? How old are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Gabe Icikson. I'm 27. I'm a native New Yorker, grew up on the Upper East Side, went to school here, went to most of college here, grad school here. I work in commercial real estate at the moment. I've been doing that for 5 years. Was in retail leasing for a while.
So long story short, you're a career New Yorker.
Basically,
pretty
yeah.
much. You're a full-time New Yorker. You're actually, I know a lot of people from New York, obviously, but you stand out because you're one of the few that I know who grew up in Upper East Side. I'm sure both of us run in very similar crowds here, right?
Yeah.
Living in Upper East Side, but how many people do you know who, in our little synagogue scene, Safra, etc., how many young people who actually grew up here?
Oof.
Like you?
Like actual native Upper East Siders?
I know two. So I'm going to say you and Izzy Carden.
Oof. He was the one.
And Izzy has a lot of Izzy's a very plugged in guy, but I can't name anyone else.
Really trying to think, like native that's in our scene.
Yeah, like
there's a few more. Like there's a lot of people from Brooklyn. There's a lot of people from like other parts of the city, but like native up. There's me. There's Izzy. There's like, man, my buddy Sam Freed.
Sam Freed, I've heard of this name.
Great guy, super amazing person. Very served in the IDF.
Yeah,
love him to death.
Good.
I gotta think. Damn, I think like maybe 5 or 6 people.
It's really interesting, like, because I'm being from Miami. A lot of times I feel like on my own here, right? Like I'm by myself, but that's the experience of most young people in the cities. Like they're by themselves, right? So it's a huge luxury for you to have your family close by. But speaking of family, like just give me a little rundown. We were talking about this earlier. One of your parents lived in Michigan for a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell me about your parents and your grandparents, how everyone ended up over here in New York.
It's very interesting. So my mom's mother was born in America. She narrowly escaped the Holocaust. She was born in the late 1930s. And
your grandmother?
My mom's mom, born in America. My mom's father, may he rest in peace, he was born in Cologne, Germany. And at a young age, I would love to go there.
It's really cool. Yeah.
He escaped, and he wound up in New York. And the two of them...
They both escaped before, like, the war or before the concentration camps and everything?
They both very narrowly escaped.
Wow.
And they both were in Brooklyn. They spent a little time in Kansas, actually, when my grandfather was serving in the Army as a doctor.
Nice.
And then after that, they came back to Brooklyn and, raised my mom and her 2 brothers. So my mom still is in New York, obviously with me, Upper East Side. One of her brothers is in the Upper West Side, and her other brother is in New Jersey.
Wow. So on the mom's side, very New Yorker background.
Yeah, very New York centric.
Wow.
We actually do have a cousin in Miami who moved.
Oh, wow.
They did the move, they did the thing, and they're loving it, and it's making me want to move there.
You'll get there eventually.
Yeah,
You'll get there.
Really.
So you probably don't know this. I actually do have family around New York. My dad grew up in Brooklyn. And he was an immigrant.
All right.
Also came from Cuba originally, ended up in Brooklyn with his family. So I have northern ties also. But
good for him.
But anyway, walk me through the dad's side now. So the mom's side escaped Holocaust, ended up here by way of some other places, right? What about your dad's side?
Dad's side is I could talk for hours about the dad's side. They're both Holocaust survivors. They were in camps, they were in Siberia, they were in displacement persons camps. They went
Siberia?
My Sapta, my dad's mother, was in Siberia at one point. And my favorite story that I've heard about her childhood was her mom, and her sister, and her brother, like, they had a chance to escape. They had a chance to get out. But the only way to do that...
The Russian army put them there?
Yeah. It was, they were originally in Poland, and then they were sent to Siberia.
No kidding.
Yeah. But Sapta was born in a town, it's called Chelm, which literally means a town of fools.
Oh my God.
So few people who are actually like originally from there that are still alive. especially
Yeah,
as
of
a Jew.
course. Wow.
Sadly, she passed away last year, but there are very, very few people like still alive today who are from that town, the town of fools.
Wow, that's incredible. Actually,
Yeah.
I didn't. I study a lot of World War II, but I didn't realize that Russia was also. It's so ignorant for me to say. I didn't realize that they were also putting people in Poland, Jewish people in camps.
The Soviets had a big presence.
Was it just for being Polish that they were putting them in camps? Like, it wasn't targeting Jews necessarily.
Sort of. It's a little. It was basically the place where they had to go because Jews were getting expelled from Poland, and the Germans had a big empire and control over various parts of Poland. The Soviets were, interestingly enough, the Soviets were kind of friendly to my grandparents because they were the ones that liberated my grandfather, which I'll get to.
Yeah.
And my Sapta, she had the opportunity to escape with her family, and so the way to do that was there was a river that they had to go down this river, which would then take them to like a port city, and from there they could go to safety. And so they hand built a raft. My Sapta's mother, my great grandmother Baba Brunchula, built a raft, and they went down this stream. And they
in Siberia, or
yes, in Siberia.
Wow.
They were down the stream for days, and during this trip, they made stops. They made gefilte fish. They made stops to pray. Like they did this. Like they weren't very big or
How long was the trip?
It was a few days.
That's incredible.
That's so cool. On this raft.
That's
unbelievable.
That's crazy. So her side of the family, she escaped Siberia. Where did they go to next? And how did they end up here?
They went to Israel.
Oh, so that's why I figure you're calling her Sapta. I figure you're Israeli.
Sapta served in the IDF in the early 1950s.
Wow.
And and then after that, she made her way to America, and she made her way to Michigan. Because that's just kind of there are opportunities there.
What brought car? Are you talking about like the car manufacturing opportunity? Like, what are you talking about?
For my Zaidi more so like for Sapta, I'm not really sure. I guess that's just kind of where she wound up. It's where her family was. It's where her parents were there. Yeah, her parents ended up there. Her brother and her sister ended up there. So I guess that's how she wound up there.
And your Saba?
Your
Zaidi?
Yeah, Ashkenazim. We
so
call
you call the grandma
Zaidi.
Sapta, but you call the grandpa Zaidi, right?
Yeah. So they were Sapta and Zaidi. And Zaidi was born in Poland. He was born so interestingly enough, we didn't really know his real birthday until actually a couple of years ago. He's a little younger than we thought initially, but he was in a camp in a place in Demblin. He was in a camp with his cousins.
What country is that?
In Demblin, I believe Poland. Yeah. He was in a camp there, and he sadly lost his parents at a young age. He lost his mom to tuberculosis. He lost his father in the war. And what an interesting story was, it was deportation day, and he didn't want to be with his stepmother. So what happened was, when that day came, he kind of ran away from her because he didn't want to go with her.
He didn't like the stepmother? Like, what do you mean?
No, he's like, that's not my mom.
Deportation day as in?
To go to camp.
Wow, so it was kind of voluntary at that point, right?
Or involuntary, but he ran away.
Oh, he didn't want to be with her, so he wanted to go separate.
Yeah, he ran away, and then he hid in a dumpster for as long as he could.
Wow.
And then he made his way to someone's house, and they hid him for a little bit. And then he eventually wound up in a camp in a place called Demlin for a few years with his cousin Lola and Saul. And Lola and Saul survived the war and lived very long lives, and so did my Sapta and Zaidi. And so after the camp, my Zaidi was liberated January 1945.
Wow.
Bubba, Lola.
When was the war over, Like,
World War II officially ended in 1945.
Yeah, I know that, but what month?
I want to say June or September. I'm
really?
forgetting.
I have to look into it.
Yeah, I'm forgetting which day, but I think it was one of those months. And so, Zaidi was liberated in January, and then a year later, he made his way to Israel.
Liberated by the Soviets?
Yes. Interestingly enough, he was liberated by the Soviets, and then he made his way to the British Mandate of Palestine in 1946.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes, where he fought in the Palmach. And for those who may not know, the Palmach predated the IDF. It was like the Jewish army that came before the IDF. Kind of like today, the equivalent would be like the Shin Bet. There was no IDF yet. There was no Israel. Still British Mandate of Palestine. So he fought there. He fought in the War of Independence in 1948. And then after
That's great. Yeah. I also have 2 great uncles who fought in that. They came from Turkey to Israel. That's crazy. Incredible. So how many years did he spend in Israel before coming here?
3, maybe 4, forgetting exactly. He lived in a place nearby Lod, which is where the airport is today. That's where Zaidi kind of spent time living for part of it.
Wow.
And eventually from there, he made his way to a displacement persons camp, which wasn't necessarily bad or anything. It was just kind of what you did. And then he found someone's identity. Someone named William Icikson.
Jewish, obviously.
Jewish. Someone sold him that person's identity papers, and he used that to go to America, and that's how we became Icikson, because he took someone else's identity.
I was going to ask you. I didn't realize that's how your last name is spelled.
Yeah,
Icikson, because isn't it with an I instead of A?
Icikson.
Icikson. Yeah. Okay, so he stole the person's identity.
Yeah, it was sold to him.
It was sold to him?
Someone sold it to him. Yeah.
For how much?
I don't know exactly. I can find out though.
That's pretty interesting. And do you know what the last name was before that?
Yeah, his name was Eidenbaum. And Eidenbaum. I could have been Eidenbaum, but he was originally Eidenbaum, and we actually have found a few surviving members of the original Eidenbaum family. One of whom is in Michigan, and I saw him not too long ago, and his daughter and his son-in-law. There are a few original Eidenbaums still left.
Wow.
And so basically my Zaidi made it to New York and Ellis Island, where he became William Icikson.
What was his first name before?
Noach Moshe.
Noach Moshe.
That was his Hebrew name.
It's insane, how many, what all of our histories were, right? In every, whether it's Ashkenazi, Sephardic, we all escaped different countries. We rebuilt ourselves multiple times. And, if Kamala wins this election, then we might have to escape again.
I have to go back to go to Israel, honestly.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about Israel. Right. I think outside of the box. I might go to Latin America, honestly.
I don't blame you, man. It's just no place she has a significant influence on. I don't want to be anywhere near her. I can't stand her.
Next week, election night's gonna be hilarious.
Well, what's gonna happen is New York City in 2020 boarded up all the stores because after BLM riots, they were afraid that if Trump were to win, they would happen again. And sadly, Trump did not win, but I guess happy for the store owners because they didn't have to deal with all the riots. But it was just it was sad and disgusting to walk through the city.
I was there.
I called home. That would have never happened. I lived through the blackout of 2003, and they never had to do that.
I was living 3 blocks up over here, and what a shit show. Terrible. It was scary. It was really scary. Well, I'm sure you remember the actual, what was it, the curfews?
Yeah, I remember those.
That's not American. You have curfew. No. I could only walk outside between 9 a.m. and whatever. It was so weird.
You can thank liberals for that.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah. I think
you can thank them.
We'll see what happens. Who do you think's gonna win?
I think Trump's gonna win.
I think Trump is gonna clean house. I think he's gonna win by a landslide. And as soon as he wins, all the media, including the liberal media, is gonna turn on her. That's just my opinion.
They're gonna turn on Trump because that's what they did last time.
Well, yeah, once he wins, but they're also going to say she was a terrible candidate and her VP pick was terrible. I think that's how can you build up someone like that who didn't go through an actual nomination process? She was very unpopular.
She got lucky. She's like the modern day Gerald. She's like the modern day Gerald R. Ford because Gerald Ford took over for Richard Nixon.
Yeah,
he's the only president to have never been elected.
Yeah, I forgot about that part of
fun history.
Well, they say she's a modern day Carter because of all the inflation, which is insane. Look, I'm voting. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I'm voting Republican for 2 reasons. One, and I grew up liberal, by the way.
I did too.
I'm voting for 3 reasons, actually, not just 2.
Yeah.
1, Judaism, treatment of Jewish people, unwavering support for Israel. 2, economy. Yeah. Democrats are so wrong on the economy in so many ways.
Yeah.
And then also after seeing everything that happened during COVID, which is like what we just spoke about, I really feel like a lot of liberal policies led to chaos. They like to control. I think they control people a little bit too much.
They do.
So.
See, the way my dad says this, he says that Democrats tells you how to live. Republicans want to tell you who to live.
Yeah.
You know, it's very interesting. Stephen Colbert, funny guy, might not agree with him politically, but he's admittedly really funny. Mm-hmm. What he says is that Democrats have morals, but they have no spine. Republicans have no morals, but they have a spine. And at the end of the day, you need a spine to live.
Right.
So that's why Republicans tend to do well, and that's why they're going to really kick ass in this election, because there are so many Jews who are undecided, and I think a lot of them have flipped. A lot of them are going to stay home.
Flipped, yeah.
I grew up liberal. I admittedly voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. And I did that because I did not believe that Donald Trump at the time, with zero political experience, was qualified to be president. It's like making a 22-year-old college grad CEO of Goldman Sachs.
I also voted for her.
So I'm 0 for 2, basically.
Oh, you voted for...
I voted for Trump in 2020. Yeah, so I'm 0 for 2, man. So maybe I should vote for Kamala and keep the streak alive.
Did you see his speech last night?
I didn't. I should watch it.
I love the speech, by the way. Like, I'm turning into a big Trump fan, but I love when he says, you all got to vote. We have to be too big to rig, because honestly, it's just... they're going to try and rig it. They already are. I mean, they have, with all these lawsuits and everything. All right, we're back. All right, so let me just start the question over. So obviously, you know, I saw you post about your grandfather passing away. Yeah. It was your father's father, Holocaust survivor. How are you feeling now? How's your family doing right now?
You know, like, I'm sad. Like, he's 94. You know, fought in the Palmach, survived the Holocaust. And, you know, he didn't go to school. Like, he's a second grade dropout. He has less school than the Kanye West album. And,
college dropout?
Yeah. He was just such an intelligent person. And he was the kind of person that he really knew, like, how to get things done in life. He invented a way to make boxes out of recycled material, which became his long-term career in Michigan. He bought a factory, which... appreciated, thank God, a lot in value. It was an amazing investment, and he was able to build such a successful business. Wow. He was able to really provide for his family, for my dad, for my aunt. And my favorite memory of him was the two that really stand out to me. The first one is we would go sometimes when I was younger, when he was still working, to his factory, and he taught me how to drive a forklift, or a lift truck as some people call it. And I would pick up a lot of these like beams through the little holes, and I'd drive them around the factory, and then I'd stack them on top of each other. I'd see how high I could get them stacked up before he'd tell me to stop, because otherwise they would all collapse.
Right.
We'd all get hurt, and then I'd go into his office, and it was like a typical old man office. He had like thousands of papers, thousands and thousands of files. He didn't do computers. He just like... typical old guy office, like Carlos Slim almost.
So, continue on with the story.
Yeah, so Zaidi, they grew up in West Bloomfield. I grew up in the city when my dad was here. And, when I would go to Michigan, I'd go to visit Michigan, like, a couple times a year to see him and my Sapta. And I'd go to the factory. I'd drive that lift truck around, go to his office. It's all, really part of, like, my childhood. And at Sapta and Zaidi's house, they lived on a lake. And they had not a speedboat, but they had a pontoon. It was a motorboat. And I used to love driving. Like, I still love driving because I'm a city kid. So we don't do it very often, but I'm a very good driver, believe it or not. But my Zaidi and I, we would go on the boat all the time. And I'd visit in the summer. He taught me how to drive the boat. He taught me how to back out of the dock, pull in, how to mount it, how to dis everything. Like, we would just sit out there for hours. And... he would tell me all his war stories. Him and my dad would bond. I would bond with him. My brother would come. That's like my best memories of him, or like on the boat. And I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna miss that a lot.
You got to cherish it forever. Like, for me personally, I lost both of all my grandparents before the age of 5. Wow. So to have yours through most of your adult life, you learn. I'm sure he's taught you a lot. About the old way of life, about business, about everything. So you're gonna cherish the memories. And how are you doing? Obviously overall, like,
I'm doing all right. We're starting Shiva tomorrow, and it's just it's not what we want it to be doing, but he was in hospice care, so it was a matter of when, not if, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He's at peace now, and he's with Sapta.
That's good. I mean, well, obviously they belong to each other, so.
They do.
Anything else you want to tell, everyone about your grandfather?
Oh, boy, I could talk for hours about him, but, his motto in life is get up a little earlier, work a little harder, and come home a little later.
Ooh, he's a hard worker, this guy. He was a hard worker.
He's the hardest worker you could be, and that really guides me a lot in life.
I love that. Yeah. It's good to be very motivated, and
yeah.
You have to know what you want. Just go for it. Yeah,
exactly.
I consider myself a hard worker. Like, you have to be. Maybe it's in our genes, as Jewish people, to be hardworking. But anyway, let's switch the focus over to dating a little bit. First off, you guys don't know this, but Gabe does go to Safra. I know this. He likes to go to Safra. He likes the Sephardic way of praying. He fits right in to everyone at Safra, right? And so, I guess, do you like Sephardic girls?
Yeah, I don't discriminate.
You don't discriminate?
Sephardic, Ashkenazim, I don't discriminate.
No? So let me ask you, I've asked different Sephardic people this question, and I've never asked an Ashkenazi person this, and I'm just curious what you would say to this. What do you think it means to be Sephardic? For a person, to be Sephardic, like what does it mean to them, you think?
I mean, I don't know, like a Sephardic person is someone whose ancestry traces back to Spain and Portugal. That's what it is. It's just simply where your ancestors from. I'm Ashkenaz because my ancestors originate from Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. We have different customs, we have different this, like, I get it, but we're all Jews at the end of the day.
Yeah. All right, so...
I don't discriminate.
All right, first off, are you looking for a girlfriend right now?
Yeah, I'd say I am. I definitely would like a girlfriend.
How long have you been looking for one?
So I was in a relationship that ended in April. So it's been 7 months now, about to be 7 months. And I'd say that, like past month or two, I've been like more, I felt I've been ready for a relationship.
When did it end?
In April.
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah, so it's been 7 months.
I would say it's a good amount of time.
Very recently, I felt like it's time to look for something serious.
Nice. So, what do you think about like the search, like in terms of finding something serious? Is it easy? Is it difficult?
It depends, honestly. Like there are a lot of girls out there. There really are. It's just a matter of like what's a match. And I think a lot of people, both men and women, have really misguided expectations.
Yeah.
With dating, relationships, with sex, with how, contact and all that. I think there are a lot of misguided expectations, which leads to a lot of issues that shouldn't really exist, that did not exist back in the day.
So, for guys, what would you say the misguided expectation is?
From what I see often is there's a class of men who just want to get laid, and
a large class of men.
Yeah, and look, nothing wrong with that. Like I don't judge people for that. It's natural. It's a natural urge.
Yeah.
But sex is way more emotional for a woman than it is for a man, just biologically speaking. So that's what lands you into trouble, and you become known as a fuckboy. Then
we were just talking about that off camera.
Yeah, we were.
Because both of us at different points were probably labeled as fuckboys. Everyone knows on this interview that Netflix labeled me as a fuckboy, so the whole world knows it. But we both agree, and I was giving Gabe advice because I'm 33 years old, Gabe is 27. I was giving him advice that if that's your reputation, if try your best to just be a stand-up guy, get serious when the time is right. Get serious, because if even a little bit of that experience of being a fuckboy, it could put off girls, a really, really good girl in the future who comes your way. So
like, you don't want to try that so soon.
Yeah.
If you try very, very soon.
You're talking about sex?
Yeah.
In a relationship?
No, like before relationship, like after you meet a girl. Like if you try to take her home the first date.
Oh, terrible.
It's
terrible move.
But also
the relationship's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, but more likely than not, like even from a girl's perspective, if they do that with you, then odds are they're not really looking for anything serious either.
Oh, huge red flag.
You know,
huge red flag.
It's you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. It's not always a red flag, but you got to be careful.
Back to the unrealistic expectations. I guess you hit on one. Guys want to get laid early, and so they expect that a girl is going to want to jump into sex. That's an unrealistic expectation. But what about for guys that are seriously looking for their relationships? They want a girlfriend. Like, what expectations do they have that's not realistic?
So to be honest, there's one of the other things I've heard, I think when it comes to a man, is like girls have told me this, there is a real lack of social skills. I hear so many stories from girls about guys saying weird things, acting creepy, acting all weird, just being socially awkward, you know, saying like acting strange. I'm like more often than not, I hear so many stories about people just who don't know how to act.
Interesting.
And it's not like you have to be Mr. Cool, Mr. Popular. It's just like such weird stuff, you know. No game, no riz, as we like to say.
Yeah.
No like real dating skills. It's almost like they need to take a class on it. How to date.
Do you find that guys out there who are, you know, it could be anyone, no matter if they're like super handsome, attractive, or not even that much, do you feel like their expectations for what they're looking for looks wise are unrealistic? Are they looking? Do you think a lot of guys want like the unattainable?
I don't know. It depends. Sometimes some do, some don't. You know, I've definitely been sucked into this, or I'm like, you know, oftentimes like this is something that I've done in the past, and I bet you it wouldn't surprise if other guys do this. But like, if you have a benchmark, you have a kind of girl that like, if I was once with this girl, I never want to go down. So I never want to downgrade from a certain type of girl, and it's usually based on her looks.
Yeah, you don't want to go from the Lexus. You don't want to go from the Lexus to the Toyota. Yeah. Long story short.
Exactly. Or you don't even want to go. But then, like, if you get with a Lambo, you don't want to go down from a Lambo to a Lexus.
Shit.
So, you know what I mean? You get kind of sucked into this idea that looks for everything. And I was sucked into that idea for a long time. I'm still somewhat sucked into that idea.
Yeah, like, guys are visual.
I do. And, you know, everyone who's older than me tells me, like, don't worry about that. You know, remember, you marry the heart, not the face.
My parents tell me that all the time. And I also had the same struggles as you with looks and everything like that. But I do think it's really, really true because I don't know what your dating experiences are, but one day you're going to come across a girl who might have everything you're looking for looks-wise, but under the cover, they don't have what you're looking for. And when you finally find someone who has everything, or at least most of everything that you're looking for, I promise you the mental connection and you know, everything else outside of sex, it's gonna weigh a lot more heavily. Looks fade. I'm sure you could look around on the streets. Your parents will tell you. Looks do fade. I mean, they definitely fade. So
they sometimes do, but you know, at the end of the day, when you love someone, you don't see it that way. You still love them.
Oh, of course,
because you love the heart. Like, oftentimes, you know, one of the things I've noticed is that you might see someone you're really attracted to, but then like on the inside, I find that there's two things that I really notice. One, we might not be religiously aligned, but you're so attracted to her, you're like kind of pushing it under the rug, and then you're gonna get more serious, and then it's harder to break that off. Yeah. And the second thing is they're just not a match. Like maybe you don't get along, maybe you're not like you don't relate to the same things. Maybe you have issues about whatever it is. You're just not a good match, but because you're so attracted to her,
you force it.
But you're trying to force it.
You force it.
You know?
I don't think, and I've learned a lot from dating, and I've been in situations where I force it. I've been in situations where they force it, and I've been in situations where both of us force it, and they never work out. That's why, look, when timing's everything. When the timing's right, and when you're ready to meet the person, you're gonna be receptive to the right person. That person's gonna stick. You know. So what are you looking for in terms of everything non-physical? Like, what do you like in terms of anything, personality, career? Like, what are you looking for?
I need a girl who's fairly religious. Like, doesn't have to be 100% Shomer Shabbat, but someone who will do Friday night dinners with me, someone who will stay in Friday nights, someone who embraces Judaism and keeps kosher and wants to be a mother.
Nice.
Like, I want a woman whose goal is to get married within the next year or two, and someone who wants to be a mom. If they have a job, fine. Like, keep.
What about age range? Like, what are you looking for there?
Look, I'm 27, so I'd say ideally for me, like 22 to 28. That's the ideal range.
That's good. That's really, really good.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of girls out there
So
like that
many.
here. So if anyone in the
Oh,
crowd
boy.
fits that description, please DM me or DM Gabe straight up.
Oh, boy.
Slide into his DM. He has a lot of DMs, but he'll make space for you.
You're too kind.
So,
oh, boy.
Trying to think what else, in terms of, what you're looking for. I would say based on what you just told me, Upper East Side has a lot of girls.
There are. The thing with the Upper East Side is like the whole community, it's like a Venus flytrap. You get sucked into it. You see the same people, same places doing the same things. And it's like it's
over
almost,
and over again. It's not even the same thing.
Like, why is everyone still single?
It's for years. It's for years.
And these people, like, they're still single. Like,
so why do you think that is though?
Because everyone creates this like kind of narrative, this expectation. Like, if you go to this event, you'll meet your besheret. I'm like, I see these girls every week.
Yeah.
I see them at Safra. I see them at Altnu. I see them at Chabad. I see them at the Sukkah events. I see them everywhere. I'm like, what?
Well, I stopped. I'm like unpopular opinion because I run my own events for years now. I stopped going to events like over a year and a half ago. I had enough with it, and I think you could create your own fun and your own. You could create experiences with your friends and with potentially new people in other ways. You don't need an event, and also I find unpopular take. We were talking about unpopular takes before.
Yeah.
I find I don't even find a lot of them to be fun, really. I find it awkward. I'm like...
It depends. I think that when you know a lot of people, the events are fun because you see all your friends.
But I know a lot of people, though. Everywhere I go.
I have fun at the events.
All right.
I've learned to accept that, like, if you go in with the mindset, like, I got to meet a girl tonight, I got to find my next wife, I got to, like, you're done. Just don't go. Go because
that's the problem. And you know what the problem is? People have that expectations, and for years they don't get anyone. For years, I know people, and it's so sad to say, mid 30s, sometimes even lower 40s, they haven't had a girlfriend in years.
I feel bad. I feel bad sometimes, and oftentimes some of these people are really cool, awesome guys. And it's just like something doesn't click, and I just feel like. These events, they're really great in theory, but like what we need more of is you need more curated events. Like I met your favorite person, Aliza Ben Shalom, at a wedding.
Yeah.
And one of the things she talked about was, dating events, but it has to be like pre-approval. Like every person who applies to go to this event has to be screened and interviewed.
Yeah.
They have to match the ratio. They have to make sure that this is the kind of person that someone... Like if there's 50...
There needs to be filtering.
Like let's say there's 100 people, 50 men, 50 women. They need to, like if you're going to interview me, like they're like, all right, are there at least like 10 people in this room that would realistically date me? And if the answer is yes, then, you bring that person in. But if not, then like you just can't have that. You don't want weirdos in there. You don't want people who aren't going to be a match. You don't want people who are so far off, in values that they're just not going to be a match. Even if they're not necessarily like a bad person. It's just like, inviting... a hardcore Catholic to a Jewish dating event, it's just, it doesn't work.
Well, one thing that the crowd probably needs to know is Gabe and I know each other through our involvement in the 3G Club, which was founded, we were part of the founding board.
We're the founding members,
We're founding members, and our friend Izzy Cardin started that and leads it. And one beautiful thing about the 3G Club is we actually do filtering of the crowd because... For those of you guys who don't know, it's more of a private Shabbat experience where every board member gets 3 invites. So naturally, we're inviting our friends and our high quality people. It's not just most of New York events are a free for all. You go inside, you go to Safra, and I love Safra, but you go inside there and anybody can go to Safra. Same with Chabad, anyone can go there. So we're kind of solving that issue. So
there are couples who have met at 3G that are still dating. Fun fact.
Really? I didn't know that.
There are.
Shout out to 3G. It's a fun time. All right. So let's get to dating now. How would you describe dating in New York City as a 27-year-old and versus dating in other cities, if you know what that experience is like?
So dating in New York City is interesting because it's a very tight-knit community. So odds are, whoever you're dating, you're going to have a bunch of mutual friends with. So your business is generally not really your business. It's out there. They're going to talk to their friends, and they're going to know people. You're going to know people in common. I've never met a girl like in New York City in my entire life, even as a child, even in high school, that I had zero mutual friends with.
Wow.
And it's very, very rare. So that's the thing. You got to be careful. You got to be careful what you do in a place like New York City because, especially in the Jewish world, it's a tight-knit community and word spreads around.
Reputation's everything. And I think really that goes for everything, business, personal life. But in terms of dating, reputation's even more meaningful for Jewish people because we don't have many of us. So a lot of us are connected, So
I agree.
What about the experience of dating in New York City? Like, what do you like about? I mean, it could be really fun. From my personal experience, it could be fun. So like,
it's a lot of fun.
So
a lot of things to do.
A lot of things.
It's easy to see each other. A lot of options, I guess, which depending on what you're looking for, could serve to your advantage. I think that New York City dating, I find that people tend to be a little more serious here than they are in some other cities.
Yeah.
And I think that dating New York City opens up more doors. Like, there's Central Park. There's a lot of places to go, like to shows, to events, a lot of cool restaurants, mini golf, go to Brooklyn, there's so many cool things you can do in this city.
Honestly, endless things. I mean, I feel like there's things in every big city like Miami, Los Angeles, but and everything is a different experience, right? Because I don't know, it's just New York. There's so many people around you. It's just by luck, Like everything's really by luck here.
Someone I dated for a year and a half, I met at a bar randomly in New York City, a Common Ground bar, of all places, and it was just like it's the most hopeless place to find love. Wow. Literally, you would never expect to meet someone there.
You know what
I mean? It's just random stuff like that.
You can meet. That's the beautiful thing about New York. You meet people anywhere. One time I met a girl on my elevator right here in the building.
Good for you, man.
One time walking from Trader Joe's, met another girl.
I have some very interesting.
My bag. That's the funny thing. New York, it's like I'm only 33. Yeah. I've lived here maybe like 3 years off and on total, and it's so many funny memories here.
I've met girls on the street. I've met girls in elevators, at bars, at clubs, at restaurants, through friends. I've met people in the most random ways possible. I've met people on airplanes. I've met people in the airport.
It's amazing.
It's just amazing. Like, that's one of the beautiful things about New York. Like, especially when it's a native New Yorker, there's like there's a camaraderie amongst native New Yorkers that, like, I think sadly, just given the decline of New York City, it's not really there as much anymore. But
it'll
growing
come back. It's going to come back.
I hope so.
Donald Trump.
Trump would be the guy. He would be the guy to bring it back. Because he'll drive people back to New York.
Please.
And like the way I grew up, like, there are certain things that I did as a kid growing up here that you can never do again.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And it's just like, I feel bad that today's generation won't get to experience like the way of life that I got to. And I would hope that like it could come back to that because then my kids could experience at least some form of it.
They will. You got to be positive. Things do improve over time. we've had a little bit of a slump, But anyway, let's talk about online dating because off camera, Gabe and I were talking about online dating. I've done online dating here and there in the past. I'm not the biggest fan. I haven't done much of it recently. I'm dating, so definitely haven't done it recently. But what are your experiences in online dating today?
You never really know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates, honestly. You never really know what's going to happen.
It's true.
I have vibed with girls on text so much, and I meet them, and it's horrible. I've met girls where I'm like, I wasn't really sure what to think, or I wasn't really feeling it. I'm like, whatever, why am I doing this? And then I actually like them more than I expected to. Or maybe
so it really is a surprise both ways.
Yeah, maybe they looked better than I expected. I've met girls who look worse. I've met girls with blue hair.
I'll tell you, that's a funny story. I'm such a hater on online dating apps, but all my, negative dating experiences and dates come from there, and I'll tell you why. Because you don't know, like you said, you don't know what you're getting yourselves into. Sometimes the texting is better than in person. Yeah. And I like the more organic, like, okay, we met each other in person, we're talking. It feels to me, and this is just my experience, it feels forced when you're like, oh, I saw some pictures of you, I may meet you at a bar. It's just, I don't know, it's a weird way, I don't know. But you've had more success on it. So.
I'd say I've had good success, in various stages of my life. Sometimes I'm just looking for fun, sometimes I'm looking for something serious.
If you're looking for fun, I really do think that the dating apps are great. Yeah. I've met some very non-serious girls on the dating apps who are ready to come home with you the first night.
Like, I have
that's
too.
what they're looking. It's funny. Like girls are as much as fuck girls as guys are fuck boys. Straight up.
They really are. There are a lot of people out there. Like there are times where I'm just looking for fun, and on dating apps, you can find a girl who will go home with you on the first night, and it's not the kind of girl. Like today, it's not the kind of girl that I would date. Back then, my values are much different. But today, I wouldn't go into a date looking for that. I wouldn't expect that. And the kind of girl that I want to date is very unlikely to, do that with me.
Well, you know what I love about my girl? My girl is very low key. Like and there's a lot of girls like this. Shout out to my girlfriend. There's girls who won't go on a date unless they see real potential in the relationship. Unless they really like the guy, like they're gonna save themselves to even go on a date. So, we've spoken about this. I know you're hesitant to do my speed dating online, but it really does solve this issue of you don't know what you're gonna get, because we do filter people. It's almost like an application process, like curated crowd. I think that online dating apps. You could have some weird ass experience. I mean, we have some stories. I'm sure both. One of my friends who lived in New York back in the day, and right out of college, he went on a date with a person that was a transvestite. He didn't even know. Ooh. He didn't even know until the actual date.
Oh nah.
Another funny story.
How do they find out?
Right at the bar. He shows up to the bar and he's like, "Yeah, I stayed on the date just to be nice. I didn't want to make the person feel bad."
The guy stayed on the date with a
transgender
woman.
Yeah, for like 20 minutes.
Wait, but how did that come up? How did he realize?
I don't know.
I don't know if I want to know.
If I were a girl, the other funny dating story, and no offense to anyone with disabilities, I love everyone, but my brother went on a date in Miami on Tinder date way back in the day. Girl looked hot in photos. Yeah. She showed up to the date and she had one leg. Somehow she didn't show. That's not bad. Listen, it's not bad. But like I said, from my experience with dating girls, and I've had like maybe one or two girlfriends on the dating apps. At the end of the day, these girls, some of them do come from completely opposite worlds. The girl that I dated happened to come from Forest Hills, Buharian.
Ooh.
Yeah. No. Gabe grew up there. By the way, I have Buharian followers. I love all you guys. There's a lot of good Buharians, but this particular one was, she was a bad apple, put it that way. Completely no mutual friends in common. Total polar opposites religiously. She not religious whatsoever, and no offense to anyone who's not, but sometimes you meet a girl who really, you don't know what you're getting yourself. Values.
No.
I think dating is all about, if you're going to get serious with someone, you should have similar values to them. And if you don't have any shared values, you're going to waste your time, I think. So, So online dating,
mixed. It could be good. It could be bad. You really know what you're going to get. But, if you play your cards correctly, if you say the right things and don't act like a freak, I think you can make something out of it. You can make something out of nothing. But so there's one thing on Hinge that I hate.
I was about to say, so you match with a girl, right? Let's say you're matching with a girl who looks interesting. Maybe you have mutual friends in common. You love her look. Same city, everything. What are some ways that you could communicate that are good? And you've told me before that there's some things that just drive you nuts, like you hate the conversation. So tell me, let's start with the bad part.
If you say the words literally everything on your Hinge, left,
swipe left,
automatic red flag.
In what situations would they say literally everything?
Like, I won't shut up about literally everything. My favorite part about New York City, literally everything. Like, what am I competitive about? Literally everything.
Oh my God.
Shut up. You're a walking basic red flag if you write that.
All right, so
automatic swipe left.
New PSA announcement to everyone out there. Be a little bit more specific with your answer. If someone's asking you anything, be a little specific, have opinions. Don't say, that's like some Kamala Harris type shit.
Give me like two things you actually like. For me, when I'm on Hinge, like, if I'm matching with a girl, I'm very, very quick to get her number and like plan a date like very quickly because I don't like to text so much.
Yeah.
I like to like
it's a lot of wasted time.
Yeah, and more often than not, when you text more often, the date doesn't go well. So I'm like after 2 or 3 messages, I'll be like, hey, like what are you doing next week? And they'll be like, I'm free this day. Like, great, what's your number? We'll plan something right then and there. Like
that's good.
3 messages, get the number, plan a date. You do it the first day that you're free. Like
yeah.
You know,
I do think that the texting is a lot of waste of time. For me, with online dating, I've had situations where all of a sudden the texting is so fluid, it's so good, you know that there's connection. Like, you know that there's going to be a good date. Do you have that situation?
I've had that many times, and then half the times you meet in person, I'm like, it's just
shit.
You run out of things to talk about. Maybe you don't vibe the same way in person. It's a little bit of like a false hope when you vibe on text for like 2 weeks before the date.
But that's why I don't like online dating also, because it's wasted energy, right? It really is.
Yeah, you gotta
You waste the time texting.
You should plan anytime you're on a dating app. You should plan that date within like 5 days of the day you match. Like if I match with a girl on like a Monday, if I'm free, like I'm Thursday night, we're going out. Even sooner if I can. Like
that's pretty cool. Yeah,
I try my best. Like,
wow.
I mean, I'll match with if I match with a girl on a Monday, like I'm trying to take her out on Thursday.
So you're doing a great thing, because I meet a lot of girls out there who get so annoyed when there's a guy that shows interest in them and like makes it pretend like he's gonna take her out and never follows through.
So you know what that is?
What is that?
What that really means is, so with a lot of these girls, and this is also a big problem with dating, is a lot of these girls, they want to be courted. They want a guy to like do the world for them. But they have to be split the sea.
They have to be courted though to a certain, like the guy has to take her out.
Yes, but there's a way to do it. Like if I ask a girl out and she gives me like a maybe, like let's talk, I'm like, no, that's a no. Like I'm not following up with you if that's what you say. You're giving me, it's either yes or no. There's none of I'm not like asking you out 5 times for you to say yes because you're like, oh, like I want to see how badly you want this.
Yeah.
Because like I don't mean to sound arrogant. I know what I can get. It's not hard for me to get dates. I'm not wasting my time and energy asking you out 5 times for one date.
Oh, never.
Like,
never.
Girls, there are a lot of girls that want that. Then they're like, come pick me up in like Great Neck or Forest Hills. I'm like, come on. Like I live in the city. Like, you don't be like that.
Yeah.
You know?
So so I guess you don't like the texting. Like you don't like extensive texting. You don't like You don't like very generalized responses.
No.
So you like getting on the? Do you like getting on the phone?
Not before the date.
No. Not before the date.
No, before the date, I want very little contact before the date. And if they give me general bullshit responses before the date, I'm fine with that.
Oh,
because I'm gonna listen. Like I'm gonna barely text you, and then I'm gonna take you out, and I'm gonna really see what you like. And then I will increase texting. I'll increase phone calls. But until the first date, I try to be very like, let's not really talk.
Interesting.
Like, I'll hit you up the day of. I
like that approach. I like that approach because at the end of the day, it's a crapshoot. You don't know if it's going to go well or not go well.
Texting before the date should only be for planning, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it really should be generally only for planning. Now, sometimes, like if I know the girl beforehand and I ask her out because I'm feeling it, then I'll text her a little more because I actually know her already. But if I don't know you and I'm matching you on Hinge for the first time, like I'm really gonna try hard not to text you very much until the date, and I'm gonna try and make that date within like 5 days of matching.
All right. So, one question: let's say the date's going well, right? Yeah. Do you believe in kissing on the first date?
Yeah.
You do, yeah. My older brother feels the same way.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know how I feel about kissing on the first date.
I could give a master class on how to do that.
All right, well, let's do a 3G master class, like 3G dating master class.
Do not try and kiss a girl at 3G. Do not try and do that.
Definitely not.
I don't care how much you're rizzing her up. I don't care how much she likes it. Do not try and do that there. Have you heard
of someone trying that or no?
Of course they have. I've
witnessed it.
Really? I've witnessed it.
You're in the fun part of that room, huh? Not me.
I witnessed this. I'm like, it's hilarious. It's like we're in a shul.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we're in a shul.
Someone tried that on a Saturday?
What are you doing?
On a Saturday?
Yes.
No fucking way.
You take that outside.
Are you kidding me?
No, what you do is you walk her home. And then you do the handhold. You walk her home. You put your jacket over her shoulder, and then right as you get it to her place, you walk, like if she's gonna walk up, she'll do the key and everything, and then outside her door, that's where you kiss her.
Oh shit!
Or you walk her up to her apartment. You don't go to her apartment, but you walk her to her place, and that's where you kiss her. You don't do it in shul.
I've never seen that, guys. If you're horny in shul, go home.
Yeah, go home and
take it to the bathroom or something. Like don't put that in the synagogue, like
kissing on the first date. If you're feeling it, it is.
If you're both feeling it.
So there's a test.
Guys like to force it, by the way. There's guys who literally, the girl's not feeling it, they receive the kiss, they might make out, and then never want to talk to the guy ever again.
So there's a way to test it. You got to do the test.
What's the test?
The handhold. So if she holds your hand on the date, she'll kiss you.
Oh, of course, yeah. When you start getting physically close.
I like to take them to speakeasies that have seating similar to this, because what I do is
start putting your hand around them.
Yes, because I can do the handhold. I can put the arm around her. I can be a little, seductive in that way. I always try to position myself as close to her as possible to be like romantic. And then if they hold your hand, like I know, all right, I can probably kiss you after this date. Yeah, that's how you know.
All that happens though. Like I find from a good first date that usually they are lasting a few hours and it's going by quick. Like you guys just have that. You're right. Like you have that much to talk about, and then maybe it starts getting a little hand holding, whatever. Yeah. I'm not much of a kisser on the first date, believe it or not. I've done it a lot. Yeah. But I think you could have a good relationship and maybe get to that the second date.
I think I agree. There's nothing wrong with either approach. Yeah. I think if you're feeling it, like, I don't know, like I'm not going to stop it from happening, but like I would not like stop seeing her if she didn't kiss me on the first date. Like I don't think that's a deal breaker for me. I don't necessarily expect it. But like, when you think with your schwanz, it has a powerful mind of its own.
That's the problem. By the way, Gabe's dropping these
Yiddish
words on me.
If you don't know what that means, Google it and click images.
How do I say it?
Schwanz.
Schwanz?
Schwanz. SHVANZ. Schwanz. Google it and hit images. You'll thank me later.
Oh my God. All right. We should probably hit on one more question then to conclude the interview. What do you want to talk about next?
Oof. We've hit dating, we've hit relationships, we've hit my grandparents.
We've hit some good stuff.
We have.
We've hit some good stuff.
Maybe like, being religious and not religious. What are you thinking?
Let's talk about religious. Yeah, let's hit on quickly on religious journey. All right. So you went to a Jewish school, right?
No.
You didn't go to Jewish school?
Never did.
I thought you went to a Jewish school. No. You went to private school though, right?
I went to private school, but it's not a yeshiva. I grew up in a religious household with Shomer Shabbat, kosher,
Oh, really?
everything.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, I did.
Wow. And your parents are still Shomer Shabbat?
Yes, they are.
Are you Shomer Shabbat?
To a degree. To a large degree, I'd say.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
So obviously raising a family, Shomer Shabbat's important.
Oh, yeah. Like, Shomer Shabbat, kosher, in shul every week. I want my kids to go to a Jewish day school.
I like that. That's incredible. So you never really went on the journey from being less religious. I
sort of did.
I always assumed that about you.
I have an interesting story, because I never went to yeshiva. I was not religious for about 10 years of my life. From high school until like 4 years ago, I was not very religious because I never understood why we do and don't do certain things. I didn't feel connected to it. So I just stopped. I felt like it was holding me back. As stupid as that sounds, and it's crazy I used to think about that way, but that's how I felt. And so I stopped being religious, and I would go out, like I'd party on Friday nights. I wasn't kosher, dated shiksas, and just did whatever I wanted without really care for the world. And then a couple of years ago, I was working in real estate. I was working for a Jewish company, and they had classes. They prayed every day. They had classes every week, and that just kind of started coming back to me. And then I think
that's incredible. What's the name of this company? I don't want to get into it.
I won't say it on camera.
That's pretty cool, though. Whatever company this is, wow.
It's an amazing firm.
The fact that you guys changed this person's life for the better, that's incredible. I've never heard of that situation ever.
I'll ask them in the future if I can say their name on a podcast.
Wow, that's so cool. So you grew a little bit more religiously the last few years.
Yeah.
Do you think
coming back to it? But I credit a lot of it to them, honestly,
Wow.
because my last day there, I left very amicably. I left because I was in grad school and I got an internship for a ground up developer, and I was doing retail leasing with this company, and it was it was an amazing experience working there. And I said to them, like, listen, my career took off here, but most importantly, like, I grew as a Jew, and the CEO of the company, he loved that. Like,
wow.
I love it too.
I'm moved by that. No,
Yeah.
like I've never. Usually, corporate America. Well, it sounds like it was a smaller company, right?
There was like almost 100 people there.
Still a lot.
It's a big company, but it's not like corporate culture. It was mostly Sephardic Jews.
It was Syrian owned or no?
Yeah, Syrian company.
So cool. Wow, that's incredible.
They're the best in the business, and
no kidding.
I'm still really close with a lot of the guys there. I talk to them on a regular basis. Amazing place to be, and yeah, like. My biggest takeaway from there is learning how to be a real estate broker, but also growing as a Jew. I love that. It's the most important part.
Wow. So, I guess speaking of that, and this is just a random question I have, would you ever be open, or do you do anything now in your daily life to teach other people who aren't as religious? I try the values and everything like that.
Yeah, when people ask me about religious stuff and Jewish questions, halakhic questions, like, I answer when I can. I'm not a rabbi. Don't come to me for that kind of stuff. But my most recent girlfriend that I was dating, she became very religious throughout our relationship, and we kind of went on a journey together. I became more religious with her, because I wanted to lead by example, because I knew that was a goal of hers. And so a big part of our relationship was becoming more religious.
Yeah.
And, there's no greater mitzvah in Judaism to help another Jew in business and to get married and to return, or Bal Tshuva, as they call it.
Wow.
So those are three of the biggest mitzvot you can do as a Jew. And so whenever I have an opportunity, even, it doesn't matter who it's with, guy, girl, could be a girlfriend, could be a random person in the street. If I have an opportunity to help someone out in their Jewish life, I'm always happy to do it. I would love to be at the point where I could teach a class on a weekly basis, about Jewish law.
It's incredible.
I learn every week. I wrap tefillin every morning. I
Amazing.
listen to podcasts.
Are you in the synagogue when you wrap tefillin, or you do it at home?
I do it at home.
I like it at home. I do it at home.
Yeah.
Most of the time I do it. Sometimes I go in when I'm in the mood, but
if they had a minyan that worked better for me, I would do it. Like, I wake up at 6 a.m. and I like to work out. And I wrap tefillin like right before I leave. I wrap tefillin like 8:30 in the morning.
Where do you go to work out?
There's a gym in my building, thankfully.
Oh, nice.
It's really easy.
So convenient, man. So convenient. I don't have that in this building, and they're working on one, but
yeah.
In terms of dating, is it your preference? A lot of people say that they prefer the girl to be more religious. Do you have a preference there?
So yes, I'd say that I want the girl to be on or about my level religiously, but if she has a desire to be more religious and it comes from her heart, like from within, and not from any influences from myself or outside influences, then I'd be okay with that. If she's not on or about my level at this point in time, I would want her to have a desire, like, from her, but not for me. Like, not just, I'm willing to be religious for you, so you date me. Like, no, because that's bullshit. Like, you're not going to be happy. It's not what you actually want. Like, I want her to actually want it. Like, I've dated girls who actually wanted it, and that's why it worked. And the woman I was most recently dating is still very religious, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
So, that's how I knew, like, she wanted it from within. And I'm really happy to have played a role in helping her do that. And I'm happy, that she's happy in life. And, I would help out a guy do it. I would help out any person who wanted, just help becoming more religious. You have to want it in your heart. You have to want it.
I like
That's
that.
the most important part. You need to love it with your neshama, your soul.
Wow.
You need to love it.
I love that. So I'm going to wrap it up with one final question here. You're 27 years old.
Yeah.
In an ideal life, where do you see yourself at 30 years old? And I want you to break that down into two different areas. One of them is relationship wise, and then two would be career wise. Where do you see yourself?
All right, career wise, I have a job right now at a firm doing debt placement, and the role that I have, I really like what I do. like I like my role much more than I expected to like it. And thank God I have a deal closing this week. And I would hope that I could stay at this firm long term and grow there and grow with the company and, you know, just bring more people in and, you know, maybe get promoted at some point. I would hope to be at this company, you know, long term. That's where I want to be career-wise because, you know, the way I have a very nice structure with uncapped earnings. So a lot of money to be made, and I want to definitely take as most advantage of that as possible. It's a very easy commute for me also. It's 20 minutes usually.
We actually ran into each other on the subway.
Yeah, amazing coming home, you know. It's a very easy commute from where I live to where I work, so I definitely like that.
So how about relationship-wise? 30 years old.
I would hope that I'd be married at that time. Like, and I think that's
realistic. You definitely want to be married at 30?
I would like to be, yeah. I mean, they say man plan, God laughs, so, you know, we'll see. But, like,
I think everyone should have a plan, though. Like, you should know what you're working towards, you know?
Well, look, I'm 27, so it's not unrealistic. Like, if I were to start dating someone the next couple months, even if I dated them for a year and a half, like, getting married at 30 is totally realistic.
Yeah.
So I would like that's a goal of mine. I don't want to say it's a goal of mine because that's going to put pressure, and I'm, you know, I don't want to like plan like I'm going to get married at 30, but it would be nice to be married, and it's not unrealistic.
When you're thinking about marriage, with whoever it is, what is the one thing that you're most looking forward to about marriage?
I just want to build a home with them. I want to have a family. It's like to me. Marriage is taking the next step in life where you assume more responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, it's a partnership. It's an economic, it's a financial partnership, it's an emotional partnership.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual partnership. Like, you know, your life, you're basically becoming an extension of each other. Like you're adding another person into your life forever. And then you're going to have children with this person, you know? You know what I mean? And I really want to do that. I'm looking forward to doing all of those things with, you know, whoever I wind up with. And I guess that's what I'm looking forward to. You know, it's just like forming a partnership.
That's good. Well, God willing, this year is going to be it. Let's conclude the interview. Thank you so much for joining.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. This is amazing.